Hey, Duberteers. Welcome back to the program. I'm really excited today to be able to talk to Kerri because, first of all, she loves a good dad joke, as you can see the little jokes in the background there. She's somebody that's a sarcastic personality like me, but she's done so much for the animal welfare movement from her days at American Humane and now, obviously, at SB Humane. So we're going to learn more about that. So, Kerri, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love what you do, spreading the word and helping leaders and just help people in our industry to recognize that we do so much good and we can do so much more. So thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you. It's going to be a great conversation. I just know. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing now.
Wow, how much time do you have, Chris? Because, this can go on for hours. I'm Kerri Burns, and I have the privilege of being the CEO for Santa Barbara Humane. I started in this career, and I have to say it, over 27 years ago.
Wow.
And
you're only 29, right? I mean, so you were pretty young.
Well, I turned 30 this year, but yeah, so, I started early. You got to start somewhere, Came out, and the first thing I wanted to do was just go to the animals. No, but I was one of those kids. We hear all these people say, when I was a kid, I brought all the animals home, and I did the same thing. Always wanted to work with animals. Had no idea you could make a career out of this, right? I mean, my father actually taught me so much about animals and animal welfare, and this was a long time ago. And the first thing he would always do, he was the town pharmacist, right? Okay. So everybody came to him, and he loved animals. Kind of that quiet guy, but animals just came to him. Every single animal that we took in, the first thing he did was have them spayed and neutered. This was not even really a thing back then.
Yeah.
I think he probably spent 2 hours in the vet getting, spayed or neutered because the high volume stuff did not exist back then. But, then, of course, the animals would come home and my mother would talk about divorce. And then, we get your animal in the home. And then she'd be like, I'm going to divorce you again. And no, she was very tolerant. It was beautiful. So my whole family's been involved with animals. And I've done a little bit of everything. I'm one of those people that I just want to help. I just want to help everybody. And I learned a great lesson later in life. You have to help yourself first before you help others. And I didn't recognize that for a long time. I got into social work. I did all kinds of things. Worked with foster kids. And then I was actually a police officer for a while.
Oh.
I thought, well, it's service, in the community. And this was back in the day when police officers were actually respected for the work that they did and do. I'll just say it's a pretty tough job now for those that are out. I learned a lot from being a police officer and getting out of the just boots on the ground, really constantly helping people. I was the fixer. I would look at the dog that needed the most help and I'd take that, or the person in the room who was just in the corner crying. I just want to help them. I just want to fix them. And so my life changed really when I became a police officer, because you had to learn to really be strong, be you, and learn to say no to people and really take on a personality that was different from what I was used to. And it put me in this different space. And then I also did other things. I wrote grants for women's health. I wrote state block grants. And one day, an opening came up actually at PetSmart Charities. And I was living in Arizona. And I thought, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this, but I don't know how to get into animals, to working with animals. And I wasn't smart enough to be a vet, right? I'm like, hey, hold on, 2+, I just can't. So anyways, I decided on a whim just to apply for this job at PetSmart Charities to review grants from animal welfare organizations. And lo and behold, don't know why to this day, but I'm so thankful they hired me. And it was a great job, Chris. I got to sit there. Not only was I just inundated about learning about animal welfare, but from reviewing all these grants. We need money for spay neuter. We need money for fostering. We need money for adoptions. And I'm like, wow, this is huge. And so we received, all kinds of information, not only from the United States, but also from Canada. And so then I started going out to the conferences and teaching about grant writing. It's like pretty simple stuff. Don't make it harder than you need to, right?
Sure.
You've got the information. Just put it down. Then within, I don't know, I think it was a year, my life took another jump. I think when you get on the right path, you just keep getting shoved. Mine was being shoved by a bulldozer behind me, I think. Anyways, at the time, the largest wildfire broke out in Arizona.
Mm.
And so I got a call at PetSmart Charities, and they're like, we need bowls and crates and leashes and food and la 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 la. Well, being a former police officer, I was used to dealing with emergencies,
Yeah.
somewhat disasters, and I knew logistics. So I asked them all the right questions, got this stuff up there within 24 hours, and they're like, wow, who are you? I'm like, ta-da, here I come.
Here's me.
Right? I'm a little super cape going up there. They said, you should come up and see what we're doing. And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And because I had had training with firefighters and everything else, within 24 hours, I was actually behind the fire lines, pulling animals out from the fire.
Wow.
And so then we helped with setup and triage, and it just put me in this world that was like, wow, not only am I hands-on helping animals, but I am watching an entire community, no matter how bad the world was at that moment, an entire community come forward to help just because of the animals.
Mm.
And it really made me think about people. I mean, I looked around and I'm like, animals, it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. It doesn't matter anything. It's all about compassion and kindness in that moment. And I always say to people that I talk to, animals have so much more to teach us than we'll ever learn in our lifetime because we're not open to really paying attention. But it was that moment that I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do, because I'm a little ADD at times, and I'm constantly going. And so I spent 10 years basically in disaster response. Hurricane Katrina, our team went up to 9/11, did the largest pit bull fighting ring bust with the FBI. I've done wildfires, traveled all over, even traveled in different countries, because I loved the fact that I could help at a level that I had never experienced before, of helping the animals, but reuniting families and the joy that it brought them. They could have lost everything, Chris. Their entire house could be gone. Their entire life could be gone. But the minute you put their animal back with that family, it was whole again for them.
Yeah.
And having those experiences just brought so much joy. On the flip side, there was,
Challenges.
sadness and challenges and pain. But it taught me a lot about my own self and my emotions and how to take my ego out of the work that I do.
Interesting.
And I think in animal welfare, I see a lot of people, they're like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I've been here before. And it seems to come from ego and not a space of being open and learning. And for me, that's really important. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I came away with, was looking at how I do this work from a different perspective. And then from there, I started, I was asked to, actually, it was funny. I was in Mexico, there was a flood down there and we were rescuing animals. And one of my closest friends worked at an organization in Arizona. And she had been calling me for years, Kerri, you should come work in a shelter. I said, no, I'd probably be too bored. You just kind of sit there and, scoop poop all day. But I want to do that. And she's like, no, you really should. And she kept calling. Anyways, I'm in Mexico, got my waders on. I've got a dog in my arm. I've got a phone here and phone rings. And I'm like, hey. And she's like, can you come work for us, please? And I'm thinking, I'm not getting any younger. And so I went to work as an interim. I had a great job there at the shelter. And then I started working as an interim executive in different places. And I was in Chicago before this. And my recruiter called and said, hey, where do you want to go next? And I said, I'm done moving around. I want to go to a place that I can make a difference, has the mountains and the ocean. 2 weeks later, they said, how about Santa Barbara? And I was like, I'm there.
Look at the
And
very specific requirements.
well, hey, when you ask, right, things happen. You just have to have that right intent. And so I've been here for 8 years and I am loving every piece of my journey. And I'm working with animals. The thing that I started out wanting to do, I've got health care, I get a paycheck. I love it. Every day is just a joy.
I'm curious, what was your background? I mean, what did you study in school?
You mean after I got out of prison? No, I'm just kidding.
Threw me for a loop on that one, Kerri, but okay, it's fine.
No, sorry, you got to put up with my sense of humor on this stuff. No, my background actually was I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and also I'm my associate degree in counseling psychology. And then my master's work, I started working on women and children's health to be a counselor, to be a therapist. So glad I didn't. However, in that same vein, each and every day with our clients that come in, we are dealing with human emotions. And so my background has actually, again, everything culminates when you know you're on the right path, even though you might not know it. And I use that all the time. So I'm very grateful that I have that background in understanding the human psychology.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, I mean, it's a human animal bond. And oftentimes you'll hear people say, oh, I went into animal welfare because I hate people and I love animals. And
Right.
it's not really a good way to approach this because the humans and the animal, we're helping both of them out. And it's that relationship, like you talked about, it's such a tight bond that people have with their animals. Nothing else really matters at that point.
Yeah. I always say when we hire here, hire for customer service because we know animal welfare. We can teach like that. There's plenty of conferences. There's plenty of, online courses. But if you can't talk to the people, you can't help the animals. And that is so important. I mean, there's jobs for everybody, but it's having, like you just said, it's the human animal bond and having the connection.
Yeah. How does that now go towards your leadership and how you lead your team? It sounds like all these experiences have really shaped you and molded you into the leader that you are. How do you teach your team to do the same?
Yeah, I hope I lead by example. My staff knows that I am out there with them, doing the work with them. I interact every single day. I walk around and say hello to everyone, ask them how they're doing, because I wouldn't be sitting here looking as good as I do if it wasn't for all my staff.
Right.
And they're the ones that really sometimes get left behind on the thank yous and all the work that they have to do. And I am one that, as a leader, it's very important to me to listen. So many times we want to tell people what to do. This is your job description. I expect you to do this. This is how it's going to be. But there's times that you just have to sit and listen to them. How are you doing? How can I help you with your job? I sit down with my staff. Usually we've gotten very large now, so it's been more difficult, but at least as a team. But I used to sit with them individually and say, how can I help you do your job better? What do you want to be? What pathway can we help put you on? Because people don't just want to come in here for a job.
Right.
They want to do more. They always want to do more. A lot of people are like 2-year-olds. It's like, why? Why can't I? Why can't we? Why? And it's like, let's satisfy that. Let's build pathways and succession plans for our staff. Do you want to be a dog trainer? Let's get you set up for that, kind of thing. Do you want to learn more about the veterinary component? Let's get you in there. Let's get going. So it's always a way of really, really just paying attention and recognizing their skills. It's so important. But if we talk at them all the time and we just don't recognize what they do every single day, and it's the hardest work and yet the most rewarding work, then as leaders, we're really going to fail ourselves.
That's a really important point, is understanding what is everybody's superpower and what is everybody's desire, right? Not everybody wants to be the top dog. Not everybody wants to be dealing with boards. And that's totally okay. And like you said, sometimes helping people to understand, what do they want? I know in my younger career, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know what I wanted. You kind of learn. And if I had somebody that was coaching me along the way and saying, hey, well, go try this out, go try that out, and give me the opportunities, I might have been able to figure it out a lot faster.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Chris, that don't be afraid to try something. One of my philosophies as a leader here is people come up and go, oh my gosh, we've got this idea. And my response typically is, let's try it. And if it doesn't work, we go back to doing what we were doing. But you can't advance. And you and I talked about some of this stuff before.
Right.
You have to think outside the box. If we keep doing the same thing that we've been doing over and over, where are we going to be? I think as an industry in the United States, we have actually failed ourselves. And we've failed ourselves because we've not been open to doing more. We haven't looked at unique opportunities. Shelters are so overwhelmed and they work in a very reactive component, right? So bring the dog in. Okay, fine. What's your name? Where'd you get this dog? Boom, dog goes back. Let's hope the dog goes out, right? Instead of taking time to talk to the people in our community. So one of the things that we do at our organization is we're very proactive. We have a lot of safety net programs. We will spend, if we have to, 20, 30 minutes up front talking to you. So, Chris, if you come to me and say, I have to turn in Kai because her squeaky toy is driving me nuts and I can't stand it anymore, we're going to say, well, let's talk more about that. Maybe it's dog training. Maybe it's, let's guide you to the right thing. That 20, 30 minutes up front, and everyone's like, I don't have time to do that. If you take the time, you're probably going to divert, like we do, between 30 and 40% of animals actually entering the shelter.
Wow. It's a big number.
It is a big number. And a lot of people are like, I don't have time. People want to be heard and they want help. They don't know how to ask for it and they don't know what their resources are. Now, I get it. There are some communities, they just don't have any resources.
Sure.
But like even in our state, we work together and try to help each other and the surrounding communities. And when you work together and you do those things, you make big changes. We're at the point now where we're so thankful that we actually transfer animals in from overcrowded or under-resourced shelters. We have decided to think outside the box, and we started doing 10 adoptions a month. Last year we did 2,223. When I started 8 years ago, we were doing 5 to 6 spay neuters a day. We'll now do between 90 and 100. We also decided to start doing dentals. We're also a training hospital for vet students from across the United States. We just had our first one from the UK because we just keep going, let's try it. Why not? How can we do it different? And we've proven within our own community that listening to your community and really finding out what they want makes the biggest changes in the long run. Is it going to happen overnight? No. You have to build a plan and everyone has to be on board. And I think that's the other big issue in our industry is you have one organization that can't stand the other organization. It's like we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Do the animals look at the animals in your organization and go, oh, we don't like them. They're horrible animals. They shouldn't be adopted. That's not the way it goes.
Right.
So we have failed ourselves by bringing in our ego and bringing in those types of non-collaborative efforts. And I believe truly that we could be light years ahead if we just would get out of our own way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we say these organizations, we don't like that organization, but the organization is not a living, breathing thing. It's the people. And it comes down to, like you said, it's ego, it's people. And it's recognizing that, yes, we're, as I always say, independently owned and operated, but that doesn't mean we can't work together on a common cause,
right?
Because everybody, the communities are so different, and across the country, communities are different. Even in 100 miles, right? The communities are different, and the challenges. So we have similar challenges, but then there's always nuances and differences. And looking for those opportunities to support one another is really key.
It is absolutely. Even where I live, we have an extremely affluent, area, and then we have an extremely low income area. And it's like, oh, I'm not going there. I don't go there. There's people
Sure.
like,
Sure.
it's like, there's where I live, there's like this tunnel. And everyone knows that tunnel kind of separates that end from this end.
Okay.
And I always say that, the animals don't care where their paws land. They just want a home. They just want someone or a family. And it's like, we have to stop. We just have to stop. And what I love about animal welfare is that the animal welfare message is not just about animals.
Hmm.
It's about creating compassion and kindness in everything that we touch in our lives, about the environment, about other people. It's just this cycle and the compassion and kindness that we can learn that spreads across everything. I mean, the simple stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know this, Chris. Your cat purrs or your dog just takes a deep breath. What does it do for you?
Releases my stress.
Absolutely. As humans, we overthink everything. We don't sleep at night. We've got, oh my God, this is going on. This is going on. We need to be more like our animals sometimes.
At
And
the end of the
just
day, right? I mean, you have a hard day and your dog comes over to you, or your cat comes and sits on your lap and just says, "It's all good, right? We
best
got
thing
this."
ever. Best
Yeah.
thing.
And tomorrow your problems won't look as big as they do today.
Yeah.
Kerri,
Every morning.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, if you had a time machine and you went back to your younger self, what advice would you give her?
Oh, gosh, that is such a great question. You know, my advice would have been for myself is to spread the message of what I know now as a leader and what I can see as a visionary leader for the industry is to take that knowledge and it started that message sooner
Hmm.
for everyone across the United States to understand, stop fighting against each other, stop, just work for the animals, work together, just be stronger. And if I could have been on some sort of, your podcast every day, I don't know what it would look like. But just have taken that message and really started sooner and deploying that every single step of my path, I think I would have gotten further. And I hope that I would have helped others and helped more animals along the way by knowing that sooner.
Interesting. So, Kerri, as we start to kind of draw to a close, I always like to end with our lightning round where we get to learn more about you as a person. So lots of simple questions. You ready?
Good luck.
All right. You got to choose. Do you prefer kitten purrs or puppy breath?
Puppy breath.
Okay. Are you an early bird or a late night owl?
Neither.
Not
Do I have to pick one?
You have to pick one. I'm like, how do you get neither out of that?
All right. I'm more of a late night owl. We'll do that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
What do you personally do to decompress after a tough day?
I have an hour drive sometimes from my work. And I drive through mountains, I drive by the ocean, and I drive by vineyards. I do not play any music. I do not listen to podcasts. I drive in complete silence and let the day just fade away and try to recognize the beauty around me. It's my Zen time, going to work and coming from home.
I love that. And the fact that was your requirement, right? Mountains and ocean. You didn't specify vineyards, but that sounds like it was like buy two, get one free.
Yeah, pretty much was. Yes.
If you had to describe your staff in one word, what would it be?
Amazing.
That's a good word. I definitely can see that one.
Yeah.
And then my last question for you is, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be one that people say she was a great mentor, that she really brought a lot of visionary ideas to the table, that she was funny, always brought a good sense of humor to work, and enjoyed the work that she did. Because I do. Even with my dad joke books back here, which I pull out and read at meetings. It's important. I have to have fun at work. I want everybody to enjoy what they do because it resonates with other people. When you smile, people smile. When you feel good, others are going to start to feel good around you.
Nice. I love that. Well, Kerri, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for everything you've done and continue to do. I really appreciate you coming on the show and telling us all about it.
Thank you for having me, Chris. This has been amazing. Thank you.